They say you never forget the moment your life changes. Some people talk about car accidents or weddings or births. Mine happened in a Chili's. Yes, Chili's. The one with the sticky menus and dim lighting that makes everyone look vaguely jaundiced. Romantic, right? Before I tell you the full story of the worst day of my life, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like our video. Help us reach as many people as possible. Thank you. I was halfway through a triple bacon burger, my favorite cheat day meal, if I still believed in cheat days, when my husband, Blake, looked up from his phone with the kind of dead-eyed expression people usually reserve for tax audits or slow Wi-Fi. That's when he said it. "I can't do this anymore, Ellie." I paused mid-bite, the grease soaking into my fingers, fries cooling in ketchup. I thought maybe he was breaking up with me for ordering dessert before dinner again. They were out of the molten lava cake. I panicked. "What?" I asked, licking salt off my thumb like an oblivious cow. "I said," he repeated slowly, like he was talking to a child or a golden retriever. "I can't do this. You've let yourself go." Silence. Not just from me. I swear the family next to us stopped chewing their chicken crispers. The waitress literally froze mid-Sprite refill. Time slowed. "Excuse me?" I finally said, feeling the burger turn to lead in my mouth. Blake leaned back, arms crossed, like he was the goddamn victim here. "You've gained 50 pounds in the last year. Maybe more. I didn't sign up for this." There it was. The truth. So pure and toxic you could bottle it and sell it as pesticide. I wanted to laugh, or cry, or smash my water glass in his face and scream something poetic like, "My body is not your contract." But I didn't. I just sat there, marinating in humiliation and meat juice. "You know what's wild, Blake?" I said after a moment, voice shaking. "I've been depressed. Remember my mom dying? Remember my job laying me off after 13 years? Or were you too busy jerking off to fitness influencers on Instagram?" He blinked. I hit a nerve. He deserved it. Blake shrugged like the human trash bin he was. I tried to be supportive. I stuck around longer than most men would have. And there it was. The golden turd. A sentence so insufferable it should be preserved in a museum under patriarchal delusions of grandeur. "I'm moving out," he added, standing up and tossing a 20 on the table like a sleazy John. "Don't worry about the rent. I'll keep paying until you get back on your feet, or until you hit 400 pounds, whichever comes first." I should have thrown my burger at him. Instead, I ate it. Every last bite. Because spite has calories too, and I intended to savor them. I spent the next week in bed. Classic depression starter pack. Netflix, ice cream, unwashed hair, and a growing resentment that tasted like stale pizza and betrayal. People say heartbreak feels like drowning. Mine felt like suffocating under a weighted blanket of judgment, made heavier by the echo of Blake's voice saying, "You've let yourself go," every time I passed a mirror. And let's be clear, I wasn't delusional. I knew I had gained weight. I knew my jeans protested when I tried to pull them past my thighs, that my knees ached after stairs, that I couldn't remember the last time I felt good in my own skin. But I also knew why. Depression is a sneaky bastard. It doesn't knock. It just moves in, rearranges your habits, steals your joy, and leaves crumbs of shame everywhere. But Blake didn't want to hear about that. No. He wanted the version of me that used to run 5Ks and drink green juice and blow him on Sunday mornings. The smiling, slim Ellie who laughed at his boring jokes and pretended his crypto investments were smart. He didn't want the grieving, jobless Ellie who couldn't find the energy to fold laundry, let alone pretend to care about Dogecoin. The best part? He left me for a Pilates instructor named Summer. I wish I were making that up. Summer. Of course her name was Summer. Probably born in California. Probably vegan. Probably thinks oat milk is life-changing. Her Instagram was full of flexed abs and inspirational quotes like, Don't wait for the storm to pass. Learn to dance in the rain. I bet Blake thought he was so deep for liking that post. God, I hated him. After a month of wallowing, my sister Rachel dragged me out of the house. Literally. She bribed me with donuts, which is both insulting and effective. You're not going to let that khaki-wearing goblin ruin your life, she said, as she shoved me into the passenger seat of her Subaru. We're getting you a haircut. I don't want a haircut. Too bad. You smell like cheese. Get in. I hadn't realized how bad it had gotten until I saw my reflection. At the salon. Puffy eyes, greasy roots. A sadness so baked into my face I looked like a widow from a Lifetime movie. Just chop it off, I told the stylist. All of it. I want to look like I'm divorcing someone who hates women. She gave me a sharp bob and a side eye that could cut glass. It was perfect. Then came the real intervention. Therapy. Rachel booked me a session without telling me. I showed up thinking we were going to brunch. Instead, I met Dr. Nadia Patel, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s who looked like she had survived at least 3 divorces and maybe a war. So, she said, scribbling in a notepad, your husband told you you're too fat to love? In public, I clarified, while I was eating a burger. Dr. Patel didn't flinch. Men like that usually have small souls. I cracked a smile. It hurt. But it felt good too. Therapy didn't fix me overnight. But it gave me words for things I had buried. The grief, the anger, the shame, the childhood patterns that taught me my worth was tied to being pleasing, quiet, thin. I cried a lot. I cursed more. I started walking again, not to lose weight, but to move, to feel like my body was mine again. I also got a job, nothing glamorous. Front desk at a gym, ironically. I took it because it was close to home and came with a free membership. The owner was a sweet lesbian named Carla who wore muscle tees and had a rescue pit bull named Beans. She didn't care what I looked like. She cared that I showed up on time and didn't let the sauna explode. Low bar, but I was clearing it. And slowly, I started to exist again. Not just survive. Exist. Fully. Furiously. Then one day, I saw him. At the same Chili's. Of course, I was picking up a to-go order, carrot sticks and hummus, not that it matters. And he was sitting at the bar, hand resting on Summer's perfect thigh, laughing at something that definitely wasn't funny. He hadn't aged a day. Still had that smug, I'm a white guy in tech face that made people assume he was competent. He didn't see me. But I saw him, and for the first time in months, I didn't feel small. I felt angry, and alive, and dangerously motivated. That's when the idea of revenge was born. Not the petty kind. Not keying his car or posting screenshots of his DMs to Summer's account. No, I wanted a masterpiece. A slow burn. A final act worthy of the pain he made me swallow. But first, I needed a plan. Revenge, like cheese, is best served aged. And I was aging into it spectacularly. I didn't want the Lifetime movie kind of revenge. No poisoning his protein powder or sending a glitter bomb to his office, though I did briefly price one out. I wanted something clever, something that would eat away at him in the same way his words had burrowed under my skin and festered. I wasn't a femme fatale. I wasn't going to seduce his boss or leak his nudes. I was a 36-year-old woman who cried during cat food commercials and still slept in the oversized hoodie he left behind. But I had time. I had rage. And more importantly, I had a job at the gym Blake used to go to. Yep, that same gym. Because God has a sense of humor as bitter as mine. You'd think Summer would have kept him on a tight leash, but turns out Pilates doesn't make a man faithful. I started hearing whispers before I even saw him again. Trainers giggling about the crypto bro who got caught texting another woman during a couple's boot camp. The first time Blake walked into the gym while I was working the front desk, I almost choked on my Starbucks. He didn't recognize me. I'd cut my hair even shorter, started wearing bold lipstick, shade, screw you scarlet, and lost about 20 pounds. Not because I was trying to become some swan that hatched from her fat cocoon, but because moving didn't hurt as much anymore, emotionally or physically. "Hey," he said, scanning his card without looking up, already halfway past me. "Hey, Blake," I said, as casual as a guillotine. He froze, turned around, looked at me. His eyes narrowed. "Ellie?" I nodded, sipping my iced coffee. Still fat enough to be dumped in a Chili's, but not enough to be unrecognizable. Neat, right? He looked like someone had told him bacon was illegal. "I didn't know you worked here," he muttered. "And I didn't know you still existed." I smiled. Guess we're both disappointed. He opened his mouth, probably to say something, smug or deflective, but I turned back to my computer like he was already irrelevant, which to me he was. But that moment, that tiny flicker of what the hell just happened in his eyes, oh, I wanted more of that. Revenge required patience, precision, strategy. I wasn't about to ruin his life all at once. Where's the fun in that? No, I wanted layers. I wanted him to self-destruct without ever knowing I lit the fuse. Step 1. Proximity. I started being around just enough for him to notice. Not stalker-level obvious, just present. A comment here, a laugh there. Sometimes I'd pass by the weight room in my now-fitting leggings and say something like, "Wow, you still max out at 135? Cute." Always with a wink. Always with a smile. He didn't know what to do with that. Men like Blake need their women to either worship them or vanish. Ambiguity fries their circuits. Step 2. Connection. Turns out Summer had joined a new startup, a wellness app called Glowvana. I'm not kidding. And she was recruiting influencers to do brand collabs. So I made an Instagram, posted about my journey in the most cringeworthy, digestible way possible. Learning to love myself again after betrayal. Thick thighs, sharper mind, asked self-care. It was so fake it made me gag. But it worked. Summer DM'd me after my 5th post. Summer. "Hey babe, love your energy. You'd be a perfect ambassador for Glowvana. LMK if you're interested, oh I was interested." Step 3. Infiltration. Suddenly I was one of the girls. I got added to their group chat. Jacker Glow Gang Queens, a digital shrine to selfies, detox teas, and toxic positivity. It was all vibe checks and manifesting abundance and sending voice notes that began with, "Hey Angel," while they ripped each other apart behind the scenes. And oh boy, did they rip. Summer complained constantly about Blake. His crypto losses, his erectile dysfunction, his inability to clean a dish, the fact that he said her green juice tasted like lawn clippings. The man she left me for was, in her words, a protein fart in human form. I screenshotted everything, and just for spice, I sent her a private message one night after she posted a body confidence reel where she cried about being bloated. Me. "You're so brave for sharing that. I used to feel so alone about my stomach too, until I stopped dating emotionally stunted men. Just saying." She replied with, "Ha ha ha ha, girl, you are hilarious," and added 3 flame emojis. I was in. Now for the big one, the kill shot. Summer was hosting a retreat. The Glowvana Goddess Weekend, a 4-day escape for healing, embodiment, and divine feminine business strategy. It was happening at a bougie cabin in Vermont and was sponsored by 3 vegan skincare brands, 1 collagen company, and, wait for it, Blake's new crypto startup. He was funding it, speaking at it, promoting it, and I somehow got invited. "OMG, you have to come," Summer said, squeezing my arm during a brunch meetup where everyone pretended mimosas were spiritual. "Your story is like So inspiring. I just know you're meant to lead a workshop or something. Oh, I said, pushing a chia pancake around my plate. I don't know if I'm ready to teach yet. Please, she said. You're exactly what the Goddess Collective needs. Think about it, okay? I thought about it, and then I made a PowerPoint. The retreat was everything you'd expect from women who say things like, "My womb is my Wi-Fi." There were crystals, smudge sticks, screaming circles, journaling under the moon, a cacao ceremony that made one girl puke. I smiled through it all, pretending I wasn't watching every moment with the eyes of a sniper. The last day was Abundance Day, where everyone shared personal stories about growth, money, and forgiveness. Summer asked me to close it out. I said yes, but I had one request. Can Blake be there? I asked sweetly. I want to thank him. Her eyes lit up. That is so beautiful. Full circle healing. Yes. He showed up late, in a Patagonia vest, and Allbirds, holding a turmeric latte like it was an Oscar. I stood at the front of the room, clicker in hand, screen behind me, and began. Hi, everyone. I'm Ellie. Some of you know me from Instagram or from the Glow Gang chat, or from when we all screamed into the woods and called it trauma release. I want to thank Summer for inviting me, and I want to thank Blake for the role he played in my transformation. He smiled. Poor idiot. Click, slide 1. A screenshot of Blake's text to another woman dated 3 days ago. Gasp, click, slide 2. A video of him ranting in a podcast interview about how emotional women ruin startups. Click, slide 3. An email chain from his company showing misappropriation of funds for personal use. Guess who got access to those? A little friend I made at the gym who handles invoices. Click, final slide. A selfie of me in a crop top, holding a sign that read, "Too fat to love, but just right to ruin you." Silence. Then chaos. Summer screamed. A girl in a maxi dress fainted. Blake stood up, face the color of a radish, and yelled something about legal action before tripping over a ring light. I smiled. Namaste, bitches. Later, in the parking. Lot, Summer caught up with me. You planned this, she hissed, mascara streaking like war paint. Of course I did, I said. You thought I got this fabulous by accident? She opened her mouth, then closed it again. I handed her a tissue. For what it's worth, you deserved better too. She took it. I got in my car and drove away. That night, I posted a new reel. Revenge doesn't make you whole, but sometimes it makes you laugh. And that's enough. I slept like a baby. They say revenge isn't fulfilling. They also say love conquers all, gluten is evil, and you need to forgive to move on. They can go to hell, because the weak. After I exposed Blake in front of a room full of influencer yogis and crystal-peddling goddesses, I felt good. Not just good, I felt real. For the first time since Blake left me in that Chili's booth with a side of fat phobia and a diet soda, I didn't feel like I was dragging a corpse behind me. I felt light. But lightness is a tricky thing. You spend so long carrying someone else's weight, expectations, insults, silence, disgust, that when it's finally gone, you wonder what's left of you underneath it. For me, it turned out to be a woman who could laugh again. A woman who wore red lipstick on a Tuesday, not to seduce, but to scare. A woman who deleted her old Pinterest wedding board and replaced it with spite recipes. You haven't lived until you've made cupcakes shaped like your ex's head. But most importantly, a woman who had options now. It started with a DM. They always do. Hey, Ellie. I was at the retreat. I can't stop thinking about what you said. At first, I rolled my eyes. Another girl wanting to trauma bond over tea and chia seeds? No thanks. Then I saw her profile. Corporate lawyer. Manhattan. Ivy League. Wrote actual op-eds on feminist ethics. had a Rottweiler named Joan of Arc. Gorgeous in a way that screamed, "I don't owe you pretty, but I'm giving it anyway," I replied. We had drinks, then dinner, then brunch that turned into sex on a couch that cost more than my first car. Her name was Victoria, and she was everything Blake wasn't. Sharp, funny, interested. She didn't see me as someone who needed fixing, flattening, or shrinking. She liked that I was loud. She liked my scars, my belly, my backhanded compliments about Gwyneth Paltrow's wellness empire. She once looked at me after I took off my top and said, dead serious, "You're a Renaissance painting with Wi-Fi." I almost cried, but I didn't. Because crying would have meant I believed it. And I wasn't ready for that yet. Meanwhile, Blake was unraveling. After the retreat, Summer broke off the partnership with his startup. Then the screenshots I leaked to one discreet journalist ended up in an article titled, "Crypto Bro Crumbles. After Wellness Witch Exposes Receipts." The headline alone was worth 1,000 therapy sessions. His investors backed out. His company was investigated for financial misconduct. Turns out, Venmoing yourself company funds with the subject, "Pizza" isn't as subtle as he thought. And the best part? He emailed me. No greeting. Just one sentence. "I hope you're proud of yourself." So I replied, "Every single day, babe. Every single day. But let's not pretend everything was perfect. Healing doesn't come with fireworks and a spa. Voucher." I still had bad days. Days where I'd sit in front of the mirror and poke my stomach, wondering if he had a point. Days where I skipped meals out of habit. Days where I'd see couples at the grocery store, man, woman, cart full of kale, and feel that awful pit rise up in my throat. One night after sex, I told Victoria I didn't think I was lovable. She just looked at me and said, "That's okay. I'll love you until you remember how." And I wanted to believe her. I almost did. But I wasn't done with my ghost yet. You know what's underrated? Closure. And not the Hollywood kind where you cry in the rain while a violin plays. No. I wanted the petty kind, so I did something dangerous. I met Blake. Publicly, of course. I wasn't stupid. I invited him to a cafe halfway between both our neighborhoods. I wore a dress I knew he'd remember. A floral thing I used to feel too big for. Now it fit me differently. Looser. Not because I'd lost weight, but because I'd stopped carrying his voice in my damn bones. He was late. Of course. He looked like hell. Puffy, unshaven, like someone who slept in a startup hoodie and smelled faintly of despair and kombucha. He barely looked at me when he sat down. "Why did you want to meet?" he asked, voice flat. I sipped my iced coffee. I wanted to see if it felt good. He blinked. If what felt good? Looking at the man who told me I was too disgusting to love, and realizing I don't care about his opinion anymore. That got his attention. "You ruined my life," he said, leaning forward. I smiled. "Correction. I revealed the life you ruined for yourself. I just gave it a little push. I lost everything." "Then we're even," I said. "Because when you left me, I lost me. But I got her back. And you? You're stuck with you." He opened his mouth, then closed it. The silence between us wasn't angry. It was hollow. The kind that happens when one person's story is over and the other just doesn't know it yet. I stood up. "Have a nice life, Blake." He didn't say anything. I left. After that, I stopped dreaming about revenge. Stopped fantasizing about billboards with his mugshot, or Summer getting a rash from her essential oils. It just faded, like a wound you forget to check because it doesn't ache anymore. Victoria and I kept seeing each other, slowly, honestly. She never asked me to be smaller, quieter, less angry. She said things like, You don't have to be soft to be loved. And your fire isn't a flaw. We took a trip to Portland. Bought overpriced candles. Got tattoos. Mine said, "Too much," right on my ribcage, where he used to tell me to suck in. I didn't suck in anymore. Eventually, I left the gym. Got certified in trauma-informed coaching. I know. Peak. Millennial redemption arc. Started helping other women reclaim their stories. Not with detoxes or crystals, but with real things. Legal advice, money planning, teaching them how to take up space in rooms built to shrink them. I gave talks, wrote a book. Title? Still Fat, Still Loud, Still Winning. Bestseller. Blake sent a cease and desist. I framed it. Sometimes I still get angry. That's the thing no one tells you. Healing isn't peace. It's permission. Permission to feel everything and still keep going. I still grieve who I used to be, the version of me that begged for crumbs, that apologized for existing, that thought love had to be earned by being thinner, quieter, prettier. But now I eat full meals. Now I laugh too loud at bad jokes. Now I wear crop tops and post unfiltered selfies and say things like, "I'm not your before picture." Now when people ask me if I've forgiven him, I say, I don't need to forgive someone who doesn't matter. Do I regret anything? Sure. I regret not leaving first. I regret shrinking for a man who couldn't see the galaxy in me. I regret all the dinners I didn't eat, the mirrors I avoided, the pain I called love. But I don't regret becoming this woman, the one who walked out of a Chili's broken and came back a wildfire, the one who looked revenge in the eye and said, "Make it fashion," the one who proved that fat isn't failure and love isn't supposed to hurt. So yeah, maybe revenge doesn't fix everything, but it sure as hell makes the journey a lot more fun.